Hi, beautiful lot, and welcome back to another whiskey review with me, the Whiskey Novice. Thank you for joining me for review number. I've sort of lost count, to be honest with you. What odds? You'll know, it'll say in the title somewhere down there. Anyway, this one is a ball. I'm going to say I've been reviewing for months. I'm going to say I've been reviewing for months. It has been on my list. This has been pushed back and pushed back so many times, and for no other reason than I don't know. That sounds stupid, but I don't know. It just kept getting bumped back. The Ledaig Sinclair series, the Rioja cask. The Sinclair series thing, I had to look this one up because it seems to have been around for a while. It probably hasn't been around that long in the scheme of things. However, it just seems to have been around for a while, and I kept thinking to myself, Sinclair series, should I know of the rest of this series? But no, I believe this is the first of the Sinclair series, and there hasn't been any more of it yet. So this is an entry to something probably fantastic. Knowing Tobermory, probably fantastic, because they don't do much wrong, in my opinion. I've yet to have a bad Ledaig, be it official bottling from Tobermory, be it independent bottling by anybody. It's good stuff. Tobermory know what they're doing there. Bottled at 46.3, that typical, what are they called now? Burnt Stewart. It's not Burnt Stewart anymore. It'll come to me. Distell, that's the. Oh, non-chill filtered, no colour added. I'd forgotten how good this was. I did my tasting notes for this a while back. I'd forgotten how good it was. I always forget how good Ledaig is. Ledaig were one of the first. I always described Ledaig as being the peat sleeper, and I stick with that. I remember the first time I had Ledaig 10. I'm just gonna wrap here for a minute. I remember the first time I had Ledaig 10, and the peat just crept up on me. I don't know what I was going through at the time, whether it was maybe a bit peat blind or what was happening, and I just thought, this isn't that peated, it's not that smoky. And then all of a sudden it just seemed to grow and grow and grow, and all be about the peat almost, but so well balanced. And then the Ledaig 18. Oh, the Ledaig 18. Oh, right, let's move on to this. Candied fruit. Winey with a sort of buttery, brown, sugary background. And this is one of the things with them. I think after a while you actually realise that a lot of that sweetness is actually sweet smoke. It is smoky. There's no two ways about it. It's a slightly... It's a weird smokiness that Ledaig has, actually, I always think, because it's somewhere I always describe as between medicinal and smoky, and even the hint of rubbery. I've talked before about that inner tube rubberiness, the inner tube of a tyre. It doesn't get all the way into that rubbery thing, which I'm glad. Some of them do, and it gets a little too much. I've discovered, or I've realised recently, that a lot of the newer Irish peated malts tend to go down that rubbery end of things, and I'm not a massive fan of that. It's all right, I can cope with it, but this is, to say, like somewhere between medicinal and smoky. If you can imagine fruity boiled sweets or candies, I suppose, other parts of the world, with some paper burning in the background. That maybe sounds silly, but that's what it's like. It's because the sweetness is there, and it is not an artificial sweetness, but it is a fruity sweetness like hard candies, boiled candies. But the smoke is there in the background, like a fire, a paper fire here, and it works incredibly well. It works so well. I mean, that Rioja finish, you would expect a winey sweetness, and it's there, but I think it just works really well with the smoke. Typical sort of Ledaig. There's all that smoke. Ooh, typical sort of Ledaig, bittersweet arrival, I'm going to say. But man, the smoke's there straight away, right at the back of the palate. It's beautiful, beautiful. It's oily. But there's a lovely balance of spiciness. Once again, a slightly sweeter spiciness, but not overwhelming. Just works very well. And there's a definite savoury note as well, which I can't put my finger on. And weirdly, that savoury note, when you go back into the nose then, you can smell whatever it is. I just can't put my finger on it. It might come. I've worked on this for a while, as you can see. And the sweetness, I've said in previous reviews, sweetness is one of those things, and I'm starting to find an awful lot of whiskies just sweet, 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 sweet. I remember whenever I wrote my tasting notes on this, that I sort of thought that the sweetness, any sweetness that was in the nose, sort of get left behind in the nose and it didn't carry through to the palate. And now I feel different. The wininess is bringing that sort of sweetness. The smokiness is bringing that sort of sweetness. That candy, that boiled candy thing that was getting earlier, jam even, carrying through into the palate. It's lovely. It really is nice. And all the while, the smokiness calms down at the back of the palate, but it's there. It's hard not to love this. It's the finish. The finish is sort of, it does go a little dry, but it's quite long. It's the wininess that hangs around, and the smoke is there in the background as well. It's nice, and it's Moorish, and yeah, very much so. The other thing to remember about this is around the 35 to 40 pounds mark a bottle. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. A very certain person who lives on an island in the middle of the Irish Sea, who some of you may know as Ralphie, would talk about this as an integrity bottling, 46% plus in this case, non-chill filter, no colour added. It is, and it would maybe be a little too much for those who, you know, there's peated malts that sort of sit that you could almost introduce people to peated whiskey through them, via them. You could say, look, try this, you'll love it. It's a good entry level to your entry to peat. Ledaig, no. Because that peatiness, they do it well. They do it well. They've got the balance just right. And just whenever you start to think that it's not that peaty, or that you start to become accustomed to it, it'll come back and it'll be every bit as good as it was in the first place. Little drop of water. Slightly more fruity sweet. Marmalade, I mentioned earlier actually, but jam, marmalade, even strawberry jam coming through in the nose now. Definitely winey, and there's even some slight hints of honey. Add a drop of water to this, always. A wee drop, that's all it needs. It just softens up the palate. It makes the marriage in the palate so much better. And it just blossoms. Those sweeter, fruitier notes, the jams and the marmalades that I just mentioned in the nose, are given the opportunity now with that drop of water. This is fantastic. Fantastic stuff. For the price, 100%. You can get it tomorrow. Get one tomorrow. I'm not joking here. I mean, for what it is, for the price, there's no age statement. Who cares? Who cares nowadays? Really, I mean, you know, when the quality's there, it doesn't matter whether there's an age statement anymore. The quality's there, go for it. Go for it. There, I'm not going to say any more. Move on. Now, as good as this is, it sort of made me struggle then. I did struggle to find anything in my collection or in my memory banks, because I've tried samples of stuff in the past as well, and you know, I was sort of maybe sometimes I've suggested something that I've had in the past and I've said, here's what it reminded me of. I couldn't even think of anything in my memory bank, couldn't think of it, and then I had a bit of a rifle around in my cabinets, and I did find something that surprised me, and I'd almost forgotten about. The Benriach, the Smoky 12. And I genuinely did forget about it. That's really nice. I can't even remember. What I think I've already reviewed this. I've definitely already reviewed this, and I can't even remember what I said about it. Pardon me. Yeah, it does. This is, was it Marsala? There's three maturations in this, bourbon, sherry and Marsala. But yes, this is fairly similar. So if you're desperate to have something with an age statement, go for the Benriach Smoky 12. Yeah, I'm actually... I'm surprised myself how much this does sort of remind me, and I was surprised how smoky this was. As a matter of fact, I think whenever I did review this, I can't remember, but I will go back and check that. I don't think I was as impressed as I am now, but yes, if you don't have a Ledaig Rioja cask, but you do have the Benriach 12-year-old Smoky 12, that would remind me of along the same sort of lines. The Benriach, obviously a dearer, a more expensive whiskey, but then that 12-year-old age statement, also bottled at 46%. Probably also, I'm not going to check now, probably also non-chill filtered, no colour. So, you know, if you want the cheaper option and you can get the Ledaig, buy the Ledaig. There you go. It's that simple. Lovely. Lovely stuff. Thank you once again for joining me. Thank you very much to my patrons. Should anybody wish to join my patronage group, the details are in the video description below. Yum, 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 yum. I'll be back next time with something a little different. Till then, look after yourselves. Here's to your good health. Cheers. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please click and subscribe to be notified of further content.